People say that they like the taste of my water. I offer my water to my landmates if they're coming through here. I want to be here in the storm because the storm is when the percentage, the purity is the highest, because it's the flow rate is the highest. So you want to be here in the storm and collect during the storms. You don't want to collect water when there's small rainfall events. This is a little bit of an unusual video for me. First of all, it's taking place in my cabin in Northern California, which I've never shot here for YouTube. Secondly, it's about a passion of mine that I haven't spoken of on the channel, which is rainwater catchment. The tanks behind me are my rainwater system that I use for cooking, drinking, showering, washing, and to some extent fire safety, although thankfully we haven't had to use it for that purpose. Here in Northern California we get rain between October and May. So it's really important to have a rainwater system that is pure, because the water that I'm going to be drinking in September is likely to be collected in May. And those are the hottest months of the year. So if you think about when a tank might be most likely to go kind of like orangish, greenish from just stuff growing inside there, it would probably happen in the warmer months, which is why my strategy has been to come here during the biggest storms, when you have the greatest potential of having the highest percentage of purity, because the volume of water is so high relative to the muck that's inevitably sitting in the bottoms of the gutters even after you clean them. But they're just, that small amount of muck is just overwhelmed. This vid is just a peek into what it's like doing that during this storm that we just had here in Northern California, that people were calling the atmospheric river, because it just flowed and flowed for about 30 hours, getting an average during that peak of about like 0.2, 0.3 inches per hour. And I was here for a good chunk of that. First thing I did was I drained my tanks using the 1-inch valve. So right now I'm draining the tanks. And the tarp is helping it not wear away the hillside, so that this pathway doesn't get messed up. There's the 2 tanks. I'm also draining the smaller one, but it's coming through this green hose and it's going to take longer, even though it's a smaller tank. Right now I'm going to pull up the tarp because the pressure's going down. Believe it or not, this is my ladder, because I actually have to get up there to clean out the gutter. Okay, now my big tank is empty. You can also verify this by sound. Later on, that sound's going to be very different. Alright, so we're now in the midst of the biggest storm that I've actually been part of since making this cabin. Prediction was 7 inches of rain in 24 hours. And I can show you the data here. Hopefully this will come through. 1 hour, the last hour is nearly ½ an inch, and the last 24 hours is over 3 inches, which means we're halfway through the storm. And there's things that you can only do during a storm that later on you come through and you just have no idea what was going on, and I'm going to show you some of those things. Problem with one of the gutters. So gutters don't always perform perfectly. I'll just show you a couple of things that light me up about rainwater. So right there, I'll just be steady for a second. So this is not supposed to be happening right here. A lot of the water is not making it around this corner. And if I can step up on my rickety ass ladder, you can see that there's not a lot of suction down happening right there. When we step back and look, you'll see that that white pipe is too flat. That's why a lot of the water is getting leaked out right there. But fortunately, a lot of it is also, if I can climb up here, a lot of it is also going right into my tank where it's supposed to go. So this is the bigger of the two tanks, and it filled completely in the last, I guess, 12 hours, and is now overflowing into the smaller of the two tanks. I don't have a level indicator, so what I like to do is hit it. And this tank is very empty. This tank is, that's what it sounds like when it's full. So that little hissing hole there is the way that this pipe drains. And this pipe is designed as what's called the first flush. It fills up before the gutter dumps into the tanks. During a storm, there's so much water that the overflow is what fills the tank. App that I like the most, I'm not sure if it's going to come through, but you can see that for every hour there's an actual amount of rain predicted. So we are in the thick of the storm right now. It's about 10 a.m. There's the bar. So in this hour, Wonderground is predicting 0.38 inch, and it's going to be like that for the rest of the day. And you can also see the shape of the rainfall event. So you kind of use that and then kind of make observations. So for example, like right now, we've collected over 3 inches in the last 24 hours. And so in 12 hours, I've gotten over 500 gallons, close to 600 gallons off of this roof. The other thing that lights me up is the quality and the taste of the water. So I'm still drinking water that I collected in May, I believe, April or May. My water comes in through the top of my Berkey and then is super pure. People say that they like the taste of my water. I offer my water to my landmates if they're coming through here on a hike. It's one of the real pleasures is just drinking pure, untreated rainwater. It's filtered, of course, because when it sits in the tanks for a while, it does get that kind of pond scummy, yellowish color. And that is why I care so much to be here in the storm. You don't want to collect water when there's small rainfall events. When the rainfall events are small, then that's when you're getting the greatest concentration of the brown muck that inevitably sits at the bottom of your gutters. So in the clips, I've shown that I'm using gutter guard, and I'm not satisfied with the gutter guard because it has not successfully stopped there being big piles of gunk in the gutters. So it actually gets in the way when I'm trying to clean them out with my hand. It probably reduces the volume by maybe, let's just say 2/3 or 3/4. But if I still have to clean it out with my hand, then really what's the point of reducing the volume? I don't really understand that yet. And so if I were to design another rain catchment system for myself or to help a friend do the same, I would probably be wanting to use a gutter guard system that is very easily removable. Like maybe it exists on a hinge, so you can just peel up the gutter guard and then scoop it out with your hands when it's time to do the cleaning. I would also design the entire house so that the gutter is very easy to access with ladders. And for this place, I'm trying to come up with a rolling library style ladder so that I can get up top without climbing up that rickety ladder that I should. This is a massive event for Northern California. We've been in a major drought. Everybody's loving it. But of course, when we receive it all at once in one day, then it's not as ideal as when you receive it, you know, in snowfall over the winter and build up the snowpack. But still, there's nobody that lives here that's not feeling relieved. The fires are all put out because of this massive 7-inch rainfall event. It's awesome that we are gonna be heading into November and December, hopefully without a lot of threat of more fires here. That is a huge relief to all of us. And just the inner mad scientist in me just loves this stuff, so I'm hoping that you can get some of that excitement. That's the solid sound. And then up here, sounding more hollow. Wow, look at that. Look at that storm. Wow. And pretty soon this tank's going to overflow and come out here. And I'm just going to leave it. And the other method I like using is just putting my ear up against it. And that does two things. You can kind of hear where it is, and you can also, the sound of it, the frequency, is going to rise as the level of the tank rises. And you can do that. So this one's not making much of a sound because it's very full. Yeah, I can hear it at the top. It's just a very small trickle because the water is not falling very far, so it's not making a very loud sound. This one's making a louder sound. The day after the storm. For visual comparison, the water on the left is pre-storm water, more yellow, and the water on the right is this water that I just collected. So pretty great result right there. The other purpose of the gutter is to prevent damage next to the house. This is the drip damage from one storm, the unguttered section of the roof. And you can see the individual drips and where they landed repetitively. On this side, the gutter runs the full length of the cabin. The cabin itself is pretty dry. I think that's great news. There's some damp areas of the fabric. This is a Sweetwater Bungalows kit that I've modded out and made it my home. But the fact that it's a fabric house is that's the Sweetwater Bungalows offering. But you can see how well the gutter did at keeping the bulk of the water from hitting on the ground and then bouncing towards the fabric walled house. Over here, I just saw something that kind of bugged me. All of this wet area, I just cleared it out, is pooling up with mud. The tanks got kind of pushed in, maybe from climbing on it. Like I can see that's a good spot for my knee if I'm trying to service this gutter area. That's what a full tank sounds like. Nice bass sound. Here's my rickety Indiana Jones ladder. Really criminal negligence happening here, but since I'm the only one using it, I decided to go for it. And then I had to push myself up to be able to get my knees up here. So I crawled up there in the rain to clear out this gutter. This is the system provided by Sweetwater Bungalows. Look how clean this green vinyl is. Really getting well washed here by these 7 inches in 24 hours. This is the Sweetwater Bungalows concept so that the force of the wind is not going to rip the grommet over time because it's bungeed. This is a good tarp. This is about 400 square feet of roof area. This stuff is polycarbonate greenhouse roofing. I've used a few different types of gutter guard. I have to say I'm not in love with gutter guard right now. This is aluminum. The black stuff is steel. Coming down the rickety ladder. Look at that. Lashed ropes. But hey, got the job done. I'll just give you an example because I didn't get the greatest footage of this the other night, but this is kind of fun. I'll just do a few seconds of drain because the thing is, at this time of year, you've got so much rain that you can do fun stuff for YouTube. All right, let's clean some tarps. Damn! Look at that flow rate. And pretty good clarity too. First step was to drain the tanks. And this stuff is just so much fun, you know? And like, that's why I wanted to make a video about it. So this gutter's kind of dangerous. I would estimate it as being about 12 feet drop there at the biggest. If I screw up with my Indiana Jones ladder. Why am I using such a crappy ladder? Because I didn't want to take my better ladder down from where it currently is, which is my madrone tree. See, that's where the good ladder is. That smaller ladder can get me up to my gutter pretty well, but it's up in the tree because I'm preparing to do a limbing operation. You can see right there. Are we doing a tour? Let's do a tour. Show you guys the solar installation. It's just beautiful light right now, so it's a good time for a tour. This is what I call stick solar technology. Each of these solar panels is supported by a stick, in this case 2 sticks. Only one of them fell during that wind that I showed you. And look at that. This is a 9-panel system. They're kind of artistically splayed out here. And these things rock. With the 9 panels and with a 5 kilowatt hour battery, I believe, finally able to get to the point where I can arrive in the evening, see my fridge temperature down at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which means that there were no power outages and the fridge runs well after the sun goes down. We're not doing a full tour because the cabin's a little bit messy. So this is the wrong day for a tour, but I showed you the water system and the solar install. This is a place that I come to be closer to nature. I might do more videos here if you like them. I am an environmentalist, inventor, custom fabricator, entrepreneur, inventor. I think I said that one. One other note about this beautiful river footage from the day after the storm. I got this graphic from Dreamflows, which is a resource for kayakers, I believe. It shows the flows of various rivers in California. You can see what the storm did to the flow of the Yuba River, bringing it from well under 500 cubic feet per second to all the way to 6,000 cubic feet per second, which is on par with the Grand Canyon, and then falling rapidly after the rains ended. And what you're looking at is approximately 3,000 cubic feet per second during the sunny day the day after the storm. And secondly, here's a graphic that shows actual rainfall collected over a 48-hour period. So we were in the zone that was getting the most rain in all of Northern California, and we collected somewhere between 10 and 12 inches during a 48-hour period, making it a record-breaking rainfall event for October for Northern California.